Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to attempt to do something I haven't done in a really long time, which is I'm going to do a full hive inspection, and I'm going to try to get video of it. Now I am fully suited up, and I've got my smoker going, and I've done a couple puffs of smoke on the entrance and underneath the hive, and so now I'm going to open it up and see what we have. I do see some hive beetles down here, so that's not great, but we're going to do an inspection and see what's what. I'm going to try not to do a bunch of pauses, but just fair warning, I'm doing this with my cell phone, and it's been a while since I've opened up the hive since I've added the brood box. This is the first time I'm opening it since I've done the brood box, and so there's going to be a little bit of toggling back and forth, and I don't know how they're doing on resources, so I am going to wear gloves for this, just to try to get as few stings as possible. I've only been stung a handful of times, and each time I've been stung, it's for the most part been my fault, so I'm going to try to avoid anything that would cause issue, but I do want to be safe with this, and the goal in here is to see how they're building up, see what the wax looks like for the new combs, the new frames that I added, this middle brood box that you see here, and then just to get a sense of how the hive is doing overall. I want to make sure that the queen's laying, make sure that there's plenty of eggs and larvae and brood in here. So what I'll be doing is moving the boxes from here to this little side table, work table that I've got here, and then do a check. So I'm going to try to video all of this as I can, and I may have to pause throughout. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I am going to pause real quick while I should be okay. I'm going to go with one glove for now and see how that goes. So we'll give a couple quick puffs on the entrance just to let them know we're coming in. And I don't normally smoke my hives. Like my bees are really docile, so it's not been a need in the past. But it has been a while, and they've been a little low on food resources here recently, so I do want to try to calm them down as much as I can. I have sealed this puppy up. There we go. Alright, so we're going to take the lid off. Just a handful of 2 or 3 bees up top. So I'm going to put my tools out here. Got a frame grabber and then my hive tool. Now, there seem to consistently be a handful of sugar ants over here that I can't rid myself of. So I'm just going to scrape them and kill them off. I have eliminated the ones that were on the outside frame of the hive. There's still a handful up here, which is not ideal. And they seem to be coming in and going out of this little alcove, so they may have made a home in there. So I may need to get another top divider, just a top frame. Yeah, that seems to be the case. Well, that's good to know. I mean, it's a cheap little piece, it's nothing major. But if they're finding food from inside of the hive, that's not what I want. I'll give a couple puffs up top before I open her up. Alright, you know what? Just to be safe, I am going to put the glove up. So I apologize. If I can set this right there. Yep. Just gonna throw my glove on. I will not be praised for my videography skills, but it is what it is. Safety, safety, right? Now, like I said, I've got pretty docile bees, so I'm not really worried. But I do want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to keep them happy and keep safe. This is my first time that I'm attempting to video a full hive inspection. So they've done a pretty great job gluing it down. There we go. Set this inside of the lid over here. Again, just a handful of ants on the outside of the box here. Now, when I did the inspection 2 weeks ago, what I noticed was that this center frame here had lots of honey, but pretty much the entire rest of the hive, or the flow hive specifically, were empty. So we'll be checking to see. My guess is that they are going to have built up, taken the resources from the top of the hive and built up the bottom of the hive where the new frames are. Goodness, so many of these little sugar ants. Maybe clean this off a little bit. If anybody has any suggestions, I'm trying everything I can on my side to get these guys out of here as far as the ants go. Tried diatomaceous earth, cinnamon, all kinds of stuff. The bees are doing a good job of keeping it sealed, so they're all outside until I just broke the seal for doing the inspection, but they're pretty quick to get it back. With that, let's see, one of the tricks I've been able to do is, for one hand in this, is just getting the hive tool underneath. Yeah, they're really light right now because they've moved all the honey into the bottom here. So you can see there are little bits in the top that are capped, which is great, but I don't really see anything else throughout that they're utilizing. God, it smells good though. This frame, however, is pretty well full, at least on this side. You can see the flow frame, we'll call that flow frame number 2 from the outside in, is pretty well full. One of the other things I'm going to do here, just so it's a little easier for me to work, this particular hive stand is nice. It's got these little notches down here on the bottom, so you can put a hive holder on, or a frame holder on. It's just good if you need to have some workspace. So just right off of this one, I just have to kind of mental note it, but this is frame number 3. I can set it right there and they're happy. Set my hive tool over here. So I'm going to leave that full one alone. I'm not going to open it. But just get a sense of what the other ones look like here. Bees are doing a really good job of keeping her sealed up. There we go. There's some honey in here too. Again, all along the top. And then pretty much empty all the way down to the bottom. Now this frame has been emptied twice. This is frame number 4. I'm moving out here. What's been interesting to me watching this process is they, okay, we got another one that's about 3/4 full. Honestly, I didn't expect that because it's been raining a lot and I didn't know if they had resources. And I kind of assumed that they would be using these resources to build up the comb in the bottom box. I didn't see a huge population load in the observation window on the side. So I just kind of assumed, and this was an empty frame 2 weeks ago, so I assumed they would be eating these resources to build out the comb downstairs. Look at you guys. Proud of my bees. So even over here, this one's almost completely full too. You're just completely exceeding my expectations, ladies. So here's the thing. Like I said, these were empty. The only frame that had any honey in it at all was frame number 3. All of the rest of this was completely empty. And so I just assumed that we had a problem going on, but that does not seem to be the case. So the flow frames are filling up. And the reason I felt that way, I'll show you in a second when I add these back. I'm going to go ahead and let me reseat these where they were. I don't need to look any further as far as the inspection portion goes. They're filling frames and doing a good job of it, so I can kind of take myself out of the equation. Here, there's no need to disrupt them any more than I have. So we're going to seal that puppy up. Okay. And this one was frame 4. You notice even in this, like, they're not freaking out. There's one bee that's kind of checking me out, but everybody else is relatively docile. All good. And then I'll take this one, which they're apparently building out too, and put this back in as well. This is great. All good news. Alright, so I'll show you the reason I felt that way is if you take this little back window off now that it's replaced, it looks empty. I mean, all the way across, it looks like there's nothing in it. So from an observation window side, it doesn't look like there's any honey at all in here. But as you just saw, it's actually quite full. Much better than I had anticipated, which is great. So with that, I'm going to clear some space over here. Oh goodness, all these ants. I'm going to clear this off, this space over here. I'm going to take the box off. Keep it clean. And then we're going to take off the queen excluder and check out the 2 brood boxes. So, let's see. I'm going to set my phone right here. Nope, I'm not going to set my phone right there. Set my phone right here. Aha. And I'm going to move the flow frames over to the side, so you're going to go for a ride here for a second. Man, they're doing a good job of sealing, put it that way. Cracking the seal here a little bit. Okay. Problem with that is the queen excluder is on the bottom, and I'm going to crush bees. Alright, see if I can get this off. Sorry, you guys are going along for a ride. You're on top of the flow hive, but I've got the queen excluder that is adhered to the bottom of the flow frame box, and I don't want to set it down on top of all the bees that are under there. There we go. There we go. And okay, we're good. Take you guys up to the next box. So we got the flow frames over here, and then this is the new top brood box. Which is great. Let me grab my little frame grabber over here, and you'll see the first couple frames are still empty, which we expected. They are pretty glued in though. Two just back to back glued up. I'm not worried about setting the frames over for that because they're empty. I'll just set it over to the side here. There's some frame from the the bottom set. It's carried over. This would have been the outermost frame that they have built. Let's see, what do we have here? We got nectar and pollen. Lots of, looks like bee bread. And these on the left here, you'll see the cells are much larger. For the most part, those are drone cells. This innermost chamber is worker cells. What I don't see is any eggs in any of that. So we'll look on the back. Kind of same thing. Lots of nectar, lots of pollen, but no eggs, no brood. So that's not great, but it is what it is. So we're going to set this to the side. We got plenty of room in the box now to look around. And you see they're very docile, so I don't see any issues. I probably don't even need the gloves. This is new. So this is new comb. They're building out on the new frame. It is a little bit curved, so I'm gonna let them deal with that right now. I'm not gonna try to fix it. Let it be what it is. But there's also no eggs in there, so we're gonna set that down. And then this was one of the checkerboarded frames. Let's see, come on, separate. There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to get these guys to be two separate frames again. I really love this tool. I don't know if you prefer doing it by hand or what your preference is, but I really love this frame tool because it's easy to grab and pick up a frame and really look at it. I wouldn't be able to do this with one hand otherwise. Alright, so here we do have some unhatched brood. I'm a little worried at how kind of spotty it is. Like normally you have a really tight brood pattern. I'm gonna try to look really close here and see if I can see any eggs. I see nectar. Don't see any eggs there. Let's check this backside here. I don't see any eggs here either. Again, some spotty brood patterns, but not any eggs. Alright, so I'm going to move this over a bit. Alright, we have another empty frame that they seem to be building onto. So I'm going to leave that in there. I'm not going to take it out. It's going to shift over. Alright, and then this is the other checkerboarded frame. Lots and lots of bees, so one would think that there would also be brood and possibly even a queen up here. Okay, we do have brood. It looks like we might even have a larva. Alright, just kind of blowing them out of the way so I can see. I mean, that's lots of brood actually. Capped brood. I don't see any eggs. Alright, I'll set my phone down for just a second so I can use my other hand. Sorry guys. Alright, so what do we see here? Lots and lots of bees. Okay. I mean, I don't see any eggs at all in this. Kind of has me worried. I do see nectar. Oh, no, that's larva. That's full of larva. Chock full of larva. All of that. I don't know if you can see in here. Alright, that makes me feel much better. Much better. All of these are larvae.